like that, Caps? It was beautiful. Me?
Beautiful.
And actually works on someone like Renekton as Sjokz looking up towards the top side here. Brokenblade no way out of this as Sjokz will get first blood here. Flash away, Adam does the same. Flash forward though by Caps as he manages to lock down Adam. And the shutdown goes into the waiting arms of Yike. What's Yike could burn, the Flash doesn't need it for the cease and desist, and he batters Ice down. Ice dodges away, but Yike's still able to pick up the kill.
Hey, welcome back to the Riot Games Arena for the very first post-game interview of the season, joined here by Brokenblade. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having
Congrats on taking the first one. What do you think of our new home and the studio and the whole setup?
I think it looks great. It looks very modern. It was very nice to play on stage. So also thank you to the fans for coming today.
They're louder than usual, and also more people than usual on the G2 side.
Yeah, also the KC fans are here who make it loud.
There you go. They're gonna get louder as the day goes, of course. We'll see Carmine, and they're debuting the LEC a bit later. But I want to talk about you and about G2 and about the first game you had. We had a first glimpse of the meta and the patch and how things are gonna look like. Now, I know that you guys are getting used to the patch and everything, and it's gonna take a couple weeks, but what's your take on what Riot tried to implement with the map changes and the new items that we have?
Well, it's really hard to tell because we still don't know really because we couldn't work with data, right? The solo queue patch just hit like a couple days ago, so we have a couple days of data. We're still figuring it out. I think we have a pretty good idea now what we want to do. Obviously, I'm not going to share it, but excited to show you guys at some point what we have cooked up.
All right. On the top father perspective and how things are going to go on the top lane with the new brushes that we have, new ways to take vision, maybe new timings for ganks. What's your first take on how the game is going to be played and how you think it's going to help you?
I mean, for top lane, I think I figured it out. If you have pressure and you put a ward on Pixel, it's very hard to get ganked. I mean, I still got ganked this game, right? Congrats to them. I think they did a very nice gank. I think Adam played the lane very well after getting a kill, and he snowballed. He even got a solo kill on me. But I think I did very well later on, pressuring side and stuff like that. So.
About G2 as a whole, new year, not new G2. You stay with the same team. Only addition you guys have is with the coaching staff implementing Duffman, who's coming back to the team, actually. What is going to be new for G2? What did you guys learn from the events of last season? Let's not talk about them too much, but how is it going to be different this year, Bibi?
I mean, we learned last year that we are kind of winning the games because we were individually better, usually, when we were winning games. This year, we want to win the game by playing the game itself better. And I think Duffman has been a very, very great addition. I've been learning so much with him, and the whole team has been learning how to actually play League of Legends instead of just be mechanically good and outplaying the enemies. So very, very excited. I think we're just in the beginning, or at the beginning, rather. And today was a good confirmation that we can win even if you're behind or whatever. Have pressure on the map, even when things don't go your way in the early game. That's our goal for the year.
All right, a revamped version of the Scream World Champions for G2. Of course, last question. We have Mickey on the other side of the studio waiting with Sjokz and the rest of the analysts. Anything to share about your support or any message you want to send him? This camera is yours.
Mickey, good luck.
All right, well, that would be it. Good luck. Thank you so much, Bibi, for the interview. That's all of us here on this side of the stage. And Sjokz, back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laure. You look great up there. I'm really excited for all the interviews this year once again, and also the Brokenblade interviews, but also the Mickey interviews. He said good luck, but you won the game already, Mickey, so. Does he mean with us? Like, what does he mean? Yeah, I see that. Laure was talking a little bit about Duffman, and Duffman earlier also talked about you specifically being very involved in the fact that he is back with G2, so how has it been?
Yeah, it's been very nice. I think we've actually learned how to play the game properly because looking back at Worlds, I didn't know that we were so bad in mid-game, but after talking to him, I was like, wow, that actually makes so much sense, but we just never talked about it.
We knew.
Yeah, you knew. Why didn't you tell us? So then, yeah, since the last 2 months, scrims have been way more productive. Like, even if we are stomping scrims, we still feel like we learn a lot more than before. And for this week of prep, or just like this week coming on stage, I felt like, compared to the previous years, I always felt like I was pretty confident that we're probably gonna win, but like depends on draft, depends on like everything. But now I feel like we're just like, no matter what, we're just gonna win, because I feel like we're so much better than all the other teams in just like macro. So yeah, it feels very nice to have him back.
Do you feel like the concepts he brings are complicated concepts, they'll take a lot of time to implement, or are they like very simple fixes to things you're doing poorly?
I think they're quite simple, but maybe not for the West.
We're a bit
When you,
behind.
think, when you think about it, it just makes sense, you know. But yeah, I don't know. People just don't do it for some reason.
No, okay.
Could you name like 1 or 2 things you guys have been focusing on, like more specific? Because for a fan, when you say we've been improving our macro and mid game, it might be hard to understand what exactly that means. Like, how do you do that?
Well, I guess in simple terms, I would just say like actually playing around specific waves instead of just like, you know, grouping mid a lot or just like going S5, actually playing the whole map. I think that's probably the best way to put it without putting too much out there.
Would you say it's macro or micro, trying to get the Rift Herald to go where you want her to go? I think we have that replay ready somewhere about Caps trying to
I mean, that one, we were just like, maybe use it bot because it was running out. And then we couldn't really go for the bot tier 1 because we probably just die. So then he was just riding around the map.
We have the replay production of Caps. Yeah, it's coming indeed. But apparently it's harder than it looks, Mickey.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure he knew what he was doing. Like, I don't think this was like a misclick or anything. But we were just like, yeah, I guess I'm going mid. Let's try to maybe get like mid tower or something. But yeah, it was just very awkward.
Wait, you're saying that you can actually use it as a strategy because you can pretend to put it bot, but actually you're going to go mid or something?
You can do a lot of things.
That's sick. Wow. Broxah, that opened my eyes a lot.
Yeah, and Caps already showed it in this game. Like, he's been playing Cyan in the past, now he's ready for Shelly.
Definitely is. Thank you so much, Mickey, for joining us. Congratulations on a great start to the season.
Thank you.
Is SK or Rogue going to win? Next one.
I would say SK is going to win.
Okay. Good that you said that, because
You hear that,
next
Mark?
up we are showcasing One Team's Amazing's roster announcement video, and it's SK.
So, are you guys joining? Are you joining?
But it's just a board game.
Not in my tavern, you rats! That's more like it.
Place our bets. Who gets it all tonight? A 2 versus 2 it is.
In the land of dragons and giants' wars, there are warriors who brave the storm. Picking up their weapons and magic spells, they march into hell.
She wandered around, lonesome. After many battles fought, a legend, a whisper.
Who goes there?
Ah, Nisqy, I've heard this name before. The legend of Summoner's Rift.
Good to see you around these lands, Nisqy. It's on the house.
League of Legends? I've played it before.
Try your odds then.
So, new fellowships are built. The foretold contestants are set. May their quests begin.
Just a board game, huh?
Yep, good game. Another drink.
Make it yourself.
Oh, right.
Oh,
sorry.
fancy.
Oh, hey,
Oh,
everyone. Hey,
sorry, we're just admiring
we
the
were just, yeah, we were welcome back. It's Medi.
Ready?
Yeah, we just concluded game 1. We're getting ready for game 2. It is SK versus Rogue, and we've got some new players on the line, Medic.
That we do. SK have brought in Isma from the Movistar Riders, who plays second in EMEA Masters Summer. Very good player. I love his Nocturne. I'm very excited that Nocturne is meta while he is going to play it. I'm sure you're excited just to see more Nocturne on
I'm
the bit.
excited to see the return of Nisqy as well.
True.
Like now on a new roster.
He was here last year. The return kind of...
That's why I said the return.
Yeah,
like,
but
he's back.
Everyone is returning.
But I think
on the rookies. Okay. I'm excited to see the return of Vedius. He's here.
Okay, look, my point is that he's on a roster that people I say would not typically associate with him, right?
Yeah,
Nisqy
it's not Fnatic or Mad Lions.
Yeah, he's on normally one of the teams that you expect to be at the top of our table, and he's a mid laner that is either, I mean, he's either at the top or he's within the top 3, right? And he's a mid laner that is often highly regarded, but there's always skepticism from fans. When Nisqy's at the top of the league, they're like, maybe the mid pool isn't as strong, right? He often gets that type of criticism. And I think in a new environment, we'll get to see what he's capable of, right? Can he help these young players, new players, elevate what was great potential from last year's SK?
Yeah, I think they had a huge amount of potential, especially when you look back to winter. They were near the top of the table, but then spring and summer happened and they started to collapse a little bit. One thing I will add about Nisqy is he elevates his junglers.
For sure.
Whoever jungles with Nisqy is often in the conversation for MVP. You look back to Blabber on C9, you look back over the years, his junglers are always a lot better than their opposition, or at least shine brighter than their opposition.
And of course, with Nisqy and Isma joining the SK roster, we also have Markoon and Zoelys joining the side of Rogue. So they also have a veteran and a rookie. Zoelys, a young player coming out from the ERLs.
If I may.
Tell me.
Zoelys.
Zoelys?
Zoelys.
Is that how it's pronounced?
That's how Laure told me to pronounce it.
I see.
That's why there's a slight tinge of, you know, the French accent in there.
Because you know that my French accent is perfect, so I will obviously perfect it.
Frenchius? Frenchius cast. Day one, man. We can crack out whatever
There's
they
a lot
want.
of French
We have
fans
a
in the
door
audience
on the
today.
caster
I
area
don't
now.
need
We
to
can lock
offend
that.
all of them, okay? But I'm excited to see what he's capable of. When I look at his champion pool throughout his history, he has a very deep and versatile pool throughout his career. He seems to play engage supports, he seems to play range supports, he seems to be able to play the healers, the utility, the front line. Like he seems to be very flexible in what he can actually bring to the Rift. And domestically, when he was playing in the LFL, he did have some level of success, winning Spring in 2023. But we'll see what he's able to do, because Rogue has been struggling. Last year, they went from 3rd place to 5th place to 8th place. An organization that was last year Koi, now back to Rogue. Back in 2022, they were the LEC Summer Champions, and last year they were only on the decline. So these changes are hoping to revitalize this Rogue roster, give us something new, and hopefully we see a different version of Rogue that we haven't seen before.
I think the addition of Markoon will definitely help them with that. He was a very good, proactive jungler in his time on SK, one of the junglers we thought could really rise through the ranks, and now the question is, can he continue that with Rogan, specifically with Larssen? I think Larssen often is overlooked in terms of our mid pool. I think often he is #1 or #2 best mids in the region, but because you have names like Caps and names like Humanoid, sometimes he is sort of demoted down those ranks because his style isn't as flashy as some of those other players. He's great at utility, he's great at mages, and often you don't see that pure burst style, that pure outplay potential from Larssen. That doesn't mean he doesn't have that in his toolkit.
See what he's prioritizing today. Jax going to be taken away from Irrelevant. For those that remember, Irrelevant was an avid Jax player last year. When the rework came through, he was someone that took full advantage. Irrelevant, one of the few players outside of the top 3 teams to actually make it into the All-Pro. He had an incredible year overall. Really shining star for SK, so very excited to see him back onto the Rift and what he brings for us. But so far, the band's looking very similar to what we saw in Game 1, but the Nocturne now taken away from Isma.
Not too
champion
surprising.
you were hoping to see.
Yeah, it's one of his best champions in my opinion. There's the Callisto band as well. LeBlanc, it is AD LeBlanc we'll be seeing. We're on 14.1 without the hotfix, so AD LeBlanc still very powerful with Voltaic Cyclo Sword. You can look that one up for yourselves at home. Rumble banned away. Jackson Rumble, widely regarded as the 2 best top laners on this patch. We'll see where SK go with their final ban. It will be the Caitlyn. I wonder if Rogue will look to prioritize something strong for comp. Could be the Aphelios, but with Kalista already banned away, instead they will go towards the Varus.
I mean, when we got to watch a bunch of the in-houses that the pros were playing on the new patch last year, Varus Ashe were the 2 AD carries that quickly rose to prominence. Last game we saw the Kalista first pick, this time we're seeing the Varus. I wonder if SK will respond with an Aphelios of their own. What they have planned. Nisqy, this is going to be our first Azir of the year.
I just hope Larssen picks Corki into it, man.
Why would you
started
say
2024
that?
the way we want to go on.
Well, I mean, on the hotfix, he is getting a small buff. It seems that the itemization didn't benefit him as it did others.
I think he's at a 46% win rate generally, so wouldn't.
Which is why I like him.
Yeah,
personally.
I can agree with that. There's
Ooh,
the Jhin.
nice.
For Exakick.
Love to see myself a bit of Jhin.
Really strong. If you are playing on the hotfix, Hubris got a massive buff.
Yep.
And so a lot of Jhins are building Hubris on 14.1b. Don't expect to see it here from Exakick, but it is still very strong if you do go lethality. Wondering, oh no.
He's hovering.
No, he's actually memeing. There's no way.
Medic was joking earlier, Larssen. He was joking.
Please.
There's no need to lock that in.
Please, Larssen.
No, why would you?
Teemo, though.
It's not going to lock in.
Teemo has one of the highest win rates in top lane of any top laner.
He's going to lock in Orianna, as expected. This is Larssen we're talking about. So we're going to have a mage off in the mid lane between Nisqy and Larssen, two of our most veteran mid laners here in the LEC. The Aatrox blind coming in for Szygenda. Szygenda is someone that we talked a lot about last year, is showcasing a lot of great promise, like really good laning, often finding advantages by himself or with a few ganks from Malrang last year, but he couldn't really convert that into big carry performances when Rogue was struggling. It was hard for him to really convert those leads into much more. Perhaps now, with the different version of Rogue, he can get those greater resources. He can be a bigger threat for the team. Yep. Definitely a player that we'll be keeping our eyes on. Is Zhao going to be locked in for Isma?
Still a very strong jungler, something we've seen Isma on in the past. Very powerful with Sundered Sky as well, because of how often you can proc that passive on different champions in a team fight, and how easy it is for you just to jump in and get that automatic crit. Expect we'll see it alongside the Titanic Hydra. Jace banned away. I'll keep looking towards the top lane. Jace, wouldn't be surprised if Rogue just look only at top lane bans in this rotation. Make sure that that Aatrox is in a strong position. When you already see SK have locked their mid and their AD carry, it's not really much more of a pool to pinch there. Rel now taken away by SK, trying to mitigate some of the teamfight threat that Rogue have, because they do already have a very strong wombo combo with the Shockwave, with the Chain of Corruption, and obviously with the World Ender from Aatrox. SK could go Kayle Morgana here, because I watched the cinematic, and that's how you take down an Aatrox.
True, that's,
you know,
it's a great point, Medic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a follow-up for that, but thanks for that insight. Renekton.
Could have talked about how much you love the song.
I do love the song. Do you know what? I also love seeing Renekton banned. Give us something spicy now. Let's see what we can get in the top lane.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is support, actually. Obviously, you want counter support,
well, I think that
but
you just
can
go top
here. Yeah.
So, you guys can't see it, but
now they can.
Now they can, yeah. Gwen has been locked in for SK because they want counterpick for DOS. Zoelys, we already talked about how deep his champion pool is on support, and I guess that they're waiting to see what he is cooking, what he's got prepared. Markoon going for a bit of comfort here. Lee Sin, something that he's had some great performances on throughout his career. I don't love the combination of Lee Sin with Orianna. As a mid-jungle duo, it's not the most threatening. Usually Lee wants to try and work with the early prio. Some mid laners can get things like LeBlanc or Ahri. Both have great setup for Lee Sin to work with. Orianna, not the best. Rakan, though, great roaming support, something that we've seen a lot of from Zoelys' career. I'm never going to pronounce his name right.
Zoelys.
Zoelys?
Yeah, the thing is, I might be mispronouncing it, but I'm so sure that's what Laure told me. Apologies, obviously, to anyone at home if we are mispronouncing it. We'll make sure we get it corrected by next week. But I'm pretty sure it's like Zoelys. That's how I thought it was.
Zoelys. See, I thought it was 3 syllables, like Zoelys.
Well, the other way I heard it was like Zoelys, which is more Zoelys, right? Zoelys.
Okay.
Anyway, Bard was locked.
Bard was locked. I did think about the Bard, but I wasn't sure how high priority teams actually put Bard on the current patch, but it does seem that with the change in itemizations, definitely up there. Haven't seen a decent amount of Trailblazer being picked up by the champion as well.
The thing with Bard, he's like Varus, okay?
You can just build
if any item is broken, somehow he'll utilize it. So Trailblazer is really good. You can go Celestial Opposition into Trailblazer. That's the the support, the bounty of
I see
worlds
Dracos do
upgrade.
Blood Song.
Yeah, that's Dracos. You can go Blood Song if you want that little bit of extra damage as well, but I'd expect this to be more of a tank utility bard,
Yeah,
because
very much,
you have Gwen, Zhao, Azir, Jhin, you have so many power picks. You don't really need more damage to come out.
But here's
from
what
your
I'll
support.
say. Rogue gone for a very traditional teamfight composition with the Rakan, Orianna, Aatrox. It's just great 5v5. You've got great utility as well coming out from the Varus. The Larssen is kind of the champion that I think doesn't fit as neatly in here, but when it comes to Markoon, first game on stage, I think that giving him comfort and a champion that can work wonders in the early game is going to be very important for him. Nisqy and SK going for a little bit more disengage, a little bit more range. We'll see if they can leverage that, because I think that once they get into the late game, they have some very powerful scaling tools. Gwen on a side lane can be very threatening. The Azir as well. So we'll see. I think it's I think the biggest difference from this game compared to last game is that Rogue don't need to find early advantages. Both have great team fight tools.
Yeah.
It's just about how well they will be able to execute.
You can even see Comp running the teleport on the Varus, knowing that even if we get pushed in, we could just TP back to the lane, push out. He's also running Arcane Comet, which kind of implies he might go towards the lethality route. Yep. You can see he's got the Mana Flow and Scorch there as well, looking for that long-range poke.
Elite on Azir is not something I'm used to.
Yeah.
We'll see Hail Blades, Conqueror. Sometimes you'll see things like the Comet as well, maybe even Aerie from now and then.
I feel like I've seen it in the Orianna matchup to try and match poke so you can sustain a little bit more, but I'm not a mid lane expert, so I agree with you. A bit uncommon. Might be the new hotness for all we know. I can quickly go and have a look as we do enter our
first pause of 2024. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get this resolved very, very quickly. And once we have more information, we will, of course, share with you what information that we have.
So having a look at a couple of websites, it does look like Fleet is taking a higher position in terms of Azir priorities. Fleet, usual build after that, you can go Liandry's, Nash's Tooth, Rabadon's. Larssen likes to go for a Banshees, but he also plays Hail Blades, so we'll see.
So just a little bit more sustained. We'll be keeping an eye every now and then, checking on how the lane is going. But of course, Azir, one of his big strengths in the laning phase is how you can leverage his range to get a decent amount of poke in. So having that extra bit of sustain, I can definitely see the value in that. Conqueror, of course, coming out from both Isma and Irrelevant. Nothing too surprising there. So overall, pretty generic and pretty standard runes. And in terms of itemization, I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy. But yeah, here we are. Second game of the day. Wouldn't be LEC if we didn't throw a pause out.
No, I was trying to work out, like, it's the LEC, we have a pause, it's a new arena, or at least a revamped arena here. Obviously, we have done everything we can to try and...
I'm telling you right now, it's very likely going to be the mouse doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the keyboard isn't plugged in.
Some of the players, I think most of the teams did scrim here through the week as well to try and stop any of these issues happening.
But they happen.
They do.
But again, we don't know what the issue is. Once we have it, we'll let you know. For now, we will entertain you. How we do that, we're still figuring out.
Well, there's a few different options, right? We can information bomb and talk about the new support item and be like, well, this
what's
is
option number 2, yeah?
We can ask you to juggle.
We can ask me to juggle.
Because I know you can juggle.
I can.
We've told this anecdote on cast before.
Yes. Originally, that anecdote I told you was to impress a girl.
Yes.
Then I told you that was a lie.
Yes.
And then...
Now you're going to tell me it's actually true.
Well, it is true, because I did learn to juggle.
And you didn't impress the girl. Or was she impressed?
Do you want to give me that mouse?
Yeah, I can give you this mouse.
See?
That's not juggling. Okay, you broke the mouse. Yes.
I also don't know if that's my mouse or if that's your mouse.
Oh my goodness.
We didn't break it. It's just more of a...
just the top has come off.
I forget which one is...
Well, we can use it and see. This one's mine.
No, it's not.
No, this one, there you go. You take that mouse. I'll have this mouse. Anyway, yeah, so new support item. We'll get back to the
You've decided, you know what?
I've decided we're going to talk
entertain
about league support items. So it upgrades at the same intervals, 500 gold, 1,000 gold. But when you hit 1,000 gold, you get the Bounty of Worlds, I believe it's called. And that can upgrade into 5 separate items of your choosing. The 5 options you have are Celestial Opposition, which is basically a mini crown. So if you take damage for the next 2 seconds, you get reduced damage coming in. There's Dream Maker, which is much more for enchanters. Thinking like Renasa's relatively good with it. Think Nami, think Lulu. That gives, if you heal or shield an ally, it empowers them or reduces damage going into them. There's Zaza, Zazak's Realm Spike, which when you deal damage is a little explosion around it.
It's supposed to be for like the Zyra support.
Yeah.
Supports.
I think we should get rid of that one, I'll be honest.
Vel'Koz, Zerath supports, that kind of.
I have seen Lulu's running it as well. You
Yeah,
just
that
walk
sounds
up
like a
and
Lulu
auto.
one for sure. I mean, I know for a fact that like it's designed for those type of supports, and the people that are not supposed to have it will also probably build it.
There's also Solstice. Oh, can you say this one for me?
Solstice.
There we are.
Slay.
Solstice. I don't know why.
Solstice is something to do with Christmas.
It is.
The summer solstice. Is that?
I mean, so the solstice is the longest or shortest day of the year.
Oh,
right? So you have the winter and
right,
the summer
right.
solstice. Slowing or immobilizing a champion gives you and an ally move speed and health, which is really nice on...
I've seen that on Bard.
Yeah, Bard, Rakan can run it, Nautilus can run it if you want. And then there's Bloodsong.
Yep.
Now, this is the one we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about. Because Bloodsong, after using an ability, your next basic attack within 10 seconds deals 150% base AD, it's a Sheen, and inflicts exposed weakness, increasing damage taken by the enemies for 6 seconds. Now that increase in damage is 12% for melee and 8% for range damage, Vedi.
Oh.
That's quite a lot of damage.
So very quickly, I was told that we have environmental issues on stage, which they're working to resolve, which they're going to get resolved very, very quickly.
Environmental issues?
Yep. That's what I was told to say.
Okay.
Yep. Anyway, continue.
I think that has left me with more questions than before you said it. Anyway, yeah, so Bloodsong is busted. I believe it was nerfed on 14.1b. It might be looking at for 14.2.
I'm going to be honest, I get hesitant reading new patch
Yeah,
notes
same, because
my brain... they will put... Yeah, if I read the new stuff, it will then go into my brain.
And push out the old stuff.
Yeah, and so I don't want
Which
that
is
to happen
weird,
live.
because I bet if I told you... what's like a classic song? Pokemon. Give me the Pokemon theme song.
Why?
Just the lines.
I want to be the very best that no one ever was.
Okay.
To catch them is my real test. To train them is my goal.
And when did you last watch Pokemon?
About 20 years ago.
Exactly. So why does that stick in your brain, but the information
because
about
it was
League
a core
can't?
memory and it was an inspiration for my entire memory. It was, yeah. I want to be the very best that no one ever was. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause.
And you were inspired by this animal wrangling
I wanted to be a
sort of
Pokemon
idea.
trainer
You
like
wanted to be
my
a
whole
shepherd.
young life. When I got Pokemon Blue, it revolutionized the way I saw the world.
Understandable.
I watched Cadril do his Pokemon speedrun thing, and it made me want to play Pokemon.
You're going to play
again.
Nuzlocke. If you do, can you please learn the rules? Unlike Cadril, just decided the rules as he went along.
Now, I do see the unpause.
Yeah, I see it too. Looks like we are going to get onto Summoner's Rift.
We're back.
A
so you
small
don't have to
Pokemon
listen
story.
To me reminisce. Oh, apparently not.
My mum wasn't a massive fan,
Okay.
right? She thought, demonic, whatever, right?
Yeah.
I had to play Pokemon under my sheets at night with my Game Boy.
Yeah.
And then when my dad came in, I'd have the book I was currently reading and just switch it out really quickly. Obviously, they knew I was playing Pokemon, as all parents do when children do stuff like that. But it's a nice little anecdote to tell as we wait to get back on into the game. And here we are. I'll take down the runes. And we'll see DOS trading with Zoelys.
So welcome back. Isma's first time on the LEC stage, Zoelys as well, Nisqy and Markoon, the newest additions to their respective teams. And we'll see what has changed for both SK and Rogue. Reminder that the Winter Split is relatively short, regular season only 3 weeks long. So these first few games are very important, and these are the most volatile. All these teams have brand new rosters, there's new things that they need to identify, the patch is brand new as well. This is where pretty much anything can happen. You need to throw your expectations out the window, and early adopters of the patch will always be the most rewarded, because eventually other teams will catch up, which means that you've got to take advantage of these early changes and run with them. So we'll see which team was able to better utilize that. Now, Isma is looking for something. Is he looking for a gank, or is he just looking to control that topside river? He will be spotted out on a ward, but Larssen's very up in the lane.
Larssen has a lot of time to get away from here. You can see those bushes now further away from the middle of the lane, so you can just walk away. He walks back in, Nisqy shuffles forward, Nisqy low on mana, but Isma's able to get in. Larssen has to flash. DOS trying to get in from the side as well. Flash forward from Isma, and Larssen walked back into the gank, gets the speed up, but will fall for first blood.
I have questions. That was... Why did Larssen do that? Like, one of the things I was about to say is this is what's amazing about the mid lane changes is that mid laners feel a lot safer from those early ganks. You have so much room to play with. You get information much earlier. DOS...
If you've never played Bard, you can't talk about it, okay? This is the quintessential Bard portal where you're like, I'm next to the wall, 100% it will go all the way through.
But, I mean, yeah, Larssen walked back into range, allowing for Nisqy to apply the slow, and then Isma could just quickly catch up. Yep. So, I mean, we're going to get a replay on your screen right now. So at this point, he's going to see the jungle. He has full information right now. He's not too scared about it. He's going to last hit that minion. He's going to walk away. He also has the speed buff from his W. He sees Isma disengaging, and then he just walks back into range of Nisqy. He gets slowed up by the Q. Isma immediately follows that up. And then the flash comes out from Larssen, but Doss is already on his way. They have the push in the bot side of the map. Isma follows it up with the flash too. And it's the red buff that I believe actually ends up securing the kill. And now Isma looking for more.
Only level 3. Markoon tried to trade. Shows how very powerful in the early game.
Look at Doss once again, though, already moving from the bot lane into the jungle.
It's the power of Bard as well. You get better push in the lane, but can't match your ability to just auto attack and, you know, take damage off the caster minions. So Rakan will move. Markoon has given up his Razor Beaks and instead will just go for the Krug. Zoelys here hovering, making sure that Markoon does manage to pick up some of his jungle, but
great information gained from SK. They're just moving into this bot side after getting that flash and kill onto Larssen. It means that Nisqy with his push, working with Isma very, very well. Something that you did talk about was that we often see Nisqy act as a means to elevate the junglers that he always plays with, and already Isma off to a great start. But Doss making sure that his presence is known with the Bard, and SK find themselves with a very small gold lead for time being.
Comp and Zoelys try to freeze the wave out, but Exakick and Doss are there to push it back. Zoelys actually going to path through the mid lane here, try and open that up, maybe work his way down towards bot side, or even just add extra protection for Larssen, because Doss helped push out bot, but could have immediately just worked his way towards mid and looked for another gank for that flashless Orianna. Markoon starts up the grobs. Ed, and Eddie here. Going to be fed, and feddy for Markoon.
I really want to call them that from now on.
I think I saw Flowers tweet it originally, but I do like... We need a name for the second spawn as well, if we're going to go for Ed, and
Eddie's
Eddie.
back. The return. The return of Ed, and Eddie. Now in 3D, I don't know.
So Markoon takes 2 of these, actually leaving the third here because SK were making a beeline to try and fight him. 2 is the minimum you really need from a camp to be able to still get the Void Mites later on. 5 is enough to get 1 Void Mite spawning. 6 is what you want for both the Void Mites to spawn and help you push in the wave. And obviously each one gives you that true damage when you attack a tower. So a little bit of extra damage for you.
Dragon is up right now, but looking at the state of the map, with Nisqy having push in mid and Doss already looking for roams, it seems that SK's game plan right now is to just keep the pressure on Larssen.
Doing it well. Nisqy gets the pull back, Larssen locked up, and Nisqy will take the kill. SK 2-0 to the good.
They make that look very clean. Well played from SK. Punishing Larssen for his lack of flash. And getting Nisqy further and further ahead. 500 gold lead for him, 300 gold lead for Isma. You can see that at the bottom of our screen. And Markoon yet to really have much impact on the map. Will grab himself the early tunneler, something that we often see from junglers these days as they work towards their first item. But we imagine, I'm trying to remember the name now, the Sundered Sky is likely to be the first item from both these teams. But we will wait to see what direction they do end up going. Dragon going to be started off now by Rogue. Markoon going to pick that one up. Level 6 already, and it looks like that after SK have chosen to reset, they're not going to look to contest this one. Smart choice from them. I think that it would be a little too late to try and contest, but the ping's coming down, trying to cross map with the blue buff spawning on Markoon's top side. SK saying, you know what, we can actually get this. Maybe we can even threaten a dive on top of Zoelys. We can quickly look at that top wave. Would love to see how it's stacking up right now. So it's not a huge wave, nothing that Szygenda has to be too concerned about, but he is very isolated right now.
And the risk always is like you have to dive. Szygenda can stay far enough back with the new terrain up towards that top side that he's basically ungankable unless you look for the dive. Wade could be stacked up by Irrelevant. Isma, though, working his way towards mid lane once again. Larssen now has regained his flash. You can see Szygenda trying to get some vision, spot out where the SK jungler is.
More pressure in mid. Doss is here once again.
I mean, if you can burn Larssen's flash again, it's just repeat ganks, right? It all comes back to the fact that Larssen walked back. And why he decided to do so, maybe he thought Isma was disengaging and wouldn't look for any more plays. Maybe he didn't realize Doss was moving up. It all comes down to the fact he burnt that flash early on. And it's also the reason we haven't seen Markoon have much effect in the early game, because his bot side was invaded because he had to protect his mid laner. Now with the blue buff steal, SK are looking for more. Larssen, good
nice
dodge there.
Nice sidestep from Larssen, able to get away to safety.
Curtain call, hits him once, dodges the second, looking for the third, still connects, the flash forward, the flash away. And Larssen manages to escape.
But I think SK will take that again.
100%.
A flashless Orianna means it's very difficult for her to be aggressive in the laning phase. And it just sets them up for another Shurima shuffle into gank play. So Larssen is the victim of SK's early game pressure, and SK is making it work.
I mean, it's just so difficult for him because DOS is about to hit level 6, a Tempered Fate into the mid lane. That's him dead. You see a Chain of Corruption into, not Chain of Corruption, sorry, a Curtain Call. If one hits, he's basically dead because Nisqy can just slide in. If Isma comes, he's basically dead because he doesn't have the flash. Low mobility mid laners are susceptible to ganks, and this patch hasn't changed that. We've seen Larssen struggling early on, no flash on him. Now, Rectrix finished for comp as he builds up towards his first item. It does look like it's going to be the Lethality Varus.
You know, this generalization that I'm about to make isn't true for Nisqy's entire career, but when you look at a lot of Nisqy's career, a lot of teams, especially when he had the Twisted Fate and the Silas era, they would come mid, they would gank him a couple times, and then he would start to run. You know, it was that we give you leads to then bring your lead everywhere else onto the map. And in, you know, recent addition to SK, already we're seeing this playstyle, right? Play through mid, give him those leads, and see if he can use it on the map. But it's Rogue's turn to answer. They're moving through the river. But Irrelevant tries to make a plan to Szygenda, not going to find much.
Boss shows up. The Void Grubs have spawned, which is why I think Larssen and Zoelys were here helping out Markoon. That's their third. It will be a fourth and a fifth if they manage to take both of these. And it looks like they should be able to get them. DOS going in with the Magical Journey. Ignite already down on Szygenda. He tries to flash away. Isma on the chase, though, will follow him up. And Irrelevant gets his first kill of 2024.
That's a creative use of the terrain changes. I don't think Szygenda was expecting that gank to come through. He felt safe because he has 3 members in the river. If this gank happens traditionally, SK have to go through the Tribush, round the river, and then actually come to collapse, which gives them a window to collapse themselves. But the Bard catching off guard now. Nisqy in a lot of danger.
Comp has Chain of Corruption. Zoelys is here as well with the quickness. There's the charm, there's the follow-up. And Rogue, after 11 minutes, are finally on the board.
Nice punish there from Rogue. It's Nisqy to start him off the Raptors, thinking that there's a window for him to secure a bit of extra farm, but a good collapse and quick response from Zoelys means that they're able to secure themselves their first kill of the game. Still, about a 900 gold lead in favor of SK. DOS doing a good job to hold the wave for Nisqy. But a bit of a cool back and forth that we get from both these teams right now. First Dragon and the early grubs, the early mites, the little void Ed and Eddie, secured by Rogue, whereas SK find themselves with these kill leads. We'll see how this translates as the game continues. Markoon making his way back out onto the map, looking towards top side. No flash on Irrelevant, does of course have the Ghost, whereas Isma on the bot side of the map, but looking to recall.
I think it has been that exchange of kills and gold for objectives, right? Rogue with, as you say, the Dragon and 5 of the Grubs means they will have those Void Mites coming in. DOS here, just trading with Zoelys, just trying to gain the vision control that they can. As much control in those bushes as possible, obviously. Do I have a moment for a brief fun fact, Eddie?
I love fun facts.
You know Rectrix, the item that Comp has at the moment?
Yeah, I keep forgetting the name.
But it's called Rectrix, and it gives you attack damage and movement speed.
Yeah.
Do you know what a Rectrix is?
No.
It is the tail feather of a bird that helps them in flight with maneuverability.
Ah.
So that's how I remember it gives you move speed. Because it helps you move.
That's cool.
It's a cool little fun fact, right?
I also have a fun fact, but I might not have time for it because the Dragon has spawned. Save that one for later. And here we go. Rogue want to try and contest this.
They don't know DOS is there. There's the Tempered Fate. Hits 2. Zoelys has the quickness.
Oh, he's too
early. He comes out. Bad timing on the knockup. Exakick flashes and cleanses the way. The curtains open. And perhaps it's going to be a rainy day for Rogue as SK start to dive in. Irrelevant. Unable to get much out of his TP. Szygenda has one of his own. Zoelys able to dash away. And in the end, all of Rogue survive. Szygenda will have some time with that top lane tower. Markoon, call of the Q, not quite loud enough in his head. The voice is silenced by the fact 3 members of SK were gathered there.
So, not a lot of lockdown on the side of SK means that it's difficult for them to find themselves a pick. Rogue was able to just disengage. You have the dash from Markoon, you have the mobility from Zoelys, you have the ultimate from Comp as well, and the speed boost from Larssen meant that it was actually very difficult for them to trade anything back. DOS also mistiming his Q after the Tempered Fate means that that CC doesn't connect and SK can't really follow up. So the Dragon is still up, and no one really gains or loses anything aside from a bunch of summoner spells that were burned from either side.
Yeah, flashes for Comp and Zoelys and Markoon, as you say. Isma does have his flash. DOS and Exakick burnt theirs, as did Nisqy in the last fight. So we'll see if that amounts to much. Rift Herald is back on the map at the 14-minute mark. That's when she spawns in. Looks like at the moment, DOS, he's playing the Chime minigame to a degree, but also just trying to get vision on the top side. SK actually have all the wards littered in that top lane river, or top side river, as Rogue have prioritized getting vision down towards this bottom side, and it makes sense with them now looking for the Dragon. It's going to be a Rift Herald for Dragon trade, as Rogue will get the objective that sticks around as a permanent buff, and SK will get the one that gives you a little bit of time to charge for.
All pretty back and forth early game from both sides. SK showcasing some great mid-jungle support roaming, whereas Rogue now kind of regrouping, finding themselves more confidently on the map, working as a unit. You can see them moving as this 4-man. Look at the minimap right now again, using that push in mid to move towards bot, going to secure themselves their first tower of the game. Should provide that safety that Comp needs. But mid now under threat from SK, the Herald likely to come out in response.
There's the tower, first tower of the game for Rogue. As you say, Herald will... Who's gonna ride it? It's Isma. He's going in, charges forward. The Tempered Fate hitting onto Larssen. He still has the flash, and Szygenda has a flank position here. Remember, Exakick has no flash from the Dragon play, and Zoelys will lock him down and say good day. Rogue get their second kill on the board.
Very well played there from Rogue. Once again, a good punish onto SK's aggression. The Herald was dropped, Rogue saw it coming. The collapse from Szygenda into mid, caught Exakick in an animation lock. And with no summoners, as you highlighted, Medic, an easy punish. So Elise now looking for another play.
Nisqy should just be able to dash this wall if he so desires. So at least just making sure, I think, they get the push out in mid. Larssen does still have the TEP, but it looks like Larssen and Comp will just make sure this wave is in. Maybe look for a bit of damage. Remember, the Void Grubs alongside the Mites will let you chip away at this tower very quickly, and with it being past 14 minutes as well, you don't have to worry about those pesky bulwark stats. Tower will not quite fall, but it's down to about a 10th of its HP, and should be good to go on the next push through mid by Rogue. We are seeing first items start to crop up. There's an opportunity. An opportunity for Comp in the bottom lane.
Where?
Oh, he's got an opportunity to make a play, Vedius.
Oh, does he?
Because he's bought an item, and that item's name, Opportunity.
Opportunity. I hate
sometimes,
that name.
Yeah. Sometimes the naming is like, oh, do we really need to call this Kanik Rakan? You know, did it really have to be called Opportunity? If your in-game name is something like Trying, I'm a little frustrated. You know, FLICKR got lucky, man. He's lucky he's good. Because if he was bad, it's like irrelevant. You know. I like the joke once, and then after that, even I get bored of it.
Yeah, I mean, Opportunity plus the Ghostblade gives you a lot of lethality, also gives you a lot of haste, which basically means a lot of death from range. But Rogue have kind of, they suffered a bit of an early deficit, but they find themselves in a really good position right now as they enter this mid-game. Itemization is looking good. They have a decent amount of control over the map. The towers are pretty even. They would love to unlock this mid-tower. As Szygenda now in a lot of danger. Isma has found his way to top lane.
Szygenda tries to flash away. World end up hopped as DOS joins the fray. Szygenda with a magic damage shield, but it's not going to be enough. The Ignite ticking, and Isma securing the kill for SK in the top lane. They're going to push forward. This will be a tier 1 falling, their second tower of this game.
Really good punish from SK. They catch Szygenda overextending. They quickly collapse with 3. And DOS has just been omnipresent with his Bard, constantly roaming and looking for opportunities. He's going to find himself another one. He's been involved in all 4 of SK's kills. Now it's irrelevant who may have overextended.
Doesn't have flash, but should be able to get away from Markoon here as well. With the wave arriving, yep, Markoon just chucks out a tentative Sonic Wave, but that's a 600 gold lead now for Irrelevant in the top lane. Comp, though, still sitting pretty at the top of the charts. You can see he's about 800 gold ahead of Exakick and the lead in terms of total gold. Question is whether that gold on the Varus will translate better than the gold lead for the Zhao and for the Gwen, or whether the ability just to run at your opponents with Zhao and Gwen will stop comp from being too effective as the game goes on. This isn't the Radiant Virtue full tank Varus build that we were seeing. He can't just stand and fire if a bruiser's in his face. Instead, he's looking to play from range, use that opportunity, which does more damage if you've been outside of combat. Well, you gain lethality if you're out of combat, so it does more damage. Still, I have to wait to see how effective it is. Trailblazer is complete on Zoelys. Talked about it as a possibility on the Bard. Instead, he's gone Blood Song a Locket. There's something we're seeing a little bit of. He can also, in this game, look towards a Frozen Heart. That extra armor and magic resist, a very cheap item. Sorry, just armor. Very cheap item now. Makes you very tanky in terms of support.
Really good vision control here from Rogue, forcing SK to face check. They don't really have the best face checking champions. They're trying to use the range from Nisqy. Ooh, good temper fade.
Quickness for Zoelys is up. Flash away from comp as the curtains open and swiftly close as 4 shots come out. Szygenda trading with Irrelevant, who's trying to keep him on the sidelines. Zoelys still has the quickness, has the flash, could work his way around here. As you say, not much vision for SK. Zoelys has a lot of nooks and crannies to play with. He tries to hide out of vision. Instead, he's just frontlining. Cosmic coming back up
Isma
on him. Isma flashing forward, looking for the damage, but there's the quickness, there's the charm. Nisqy with a good shuffle back means that Larssen's in the middle of the enemy team, and he'll be the first to fall. Alongside him, we've seen Nisqy go down, but Zoelys and Rogue are on the run. Markoon sniped by Exakick. The binding coming out as well as Zoelys lands a double knocker, but for it, he will pay with his life. A clean fight from SK in the end.
Ends up being 4 dead on the side of Rogue, and this will unlock the dragon for SK. Nisqy took a huge amount of damage at the start of that fight, and he decided to sacrifice his life, or trade it, I should say, in order to get Larssen. Just keep your eyes on Nisqy here, taking a lot of poke from comp in the backline. Baron makes a quick hello. Dos also being slowly chipped away at. But it's Isma that knows he needs to force the engage. Really nice knock up onto Larssen. Zoelys attacks the backline, and then Nisqy dives in, hoping to get multiple members. Really nice sidestep and flash from Markoon as they get that kill, but it's the mid laner trading his life for the other mid lane, and it's at this point that Exakick is just free to dish out the damage. Comp can't leverage that poke. He gets chased down. Another nice binding from Dos, and Szygenda really can't get involved in the fight. So a really nice 5v5 from SK. They find a huge advantage, and look at how they've now ballooned the goal lead.
Dos hitting a few really clutch bindings in that fight. The Temper Fate started off, but then also bound Markoon as they were looking for the re-engage after Nisqy had shuffled in. Really good Bard play from the SK support. And now they've stopped the flow of dragons to Rogue. It's 2-1. SK get their first Mountain Drake on the board. They have a 2,500 gold lead. Baron has spawned. I don't get to quiz you on which pit we see yet, but SK are getting vision up towards this top side. Szygenda, no flash, no TP. No wards actually placed by SK, but they cleaned out any vision that may have been placed there by Rogue. Irrelevant gets some time with the bottom lane, and it feels like 2 items is really where Gwen comes online at the moment. Riftmaker and the Nashus too.
And very similar to when we last saw her. The difference between Game 1 and Game 2 is Brokenblade fell behind early. Irrelevant did not, and he... we didn't talk about him much in that last team fight, but his damage is very real. Yep. He's been involved in 6 of the team's 8 kills, and now he's a menace in the side lane. No one can really deal with him, which means that SK will always have this potential threat. With the TP now being up, they have a lot of options of how they can choose to play the map. He's just stealing away the red buff right now from Rogue, and
that's a full red buff for the team.
Everyone is going to get the red buff.
That was 20 minutes, you just see it fly out, and Rogue don't have to back off. Of course, just having a red buff or a blue buff isn't game-changing, but it's those marginal inches that can really affect how a team fight goes.
Now look at how Isma and SK, I should say, are controlling this river. They haven't completely cleared out the vision behind the Baron, but they're really putting pressure on Rogue and giving the space for Irrelevant to create pressure on the bot side of the map. They realize that, okay, we need to look to reset soon, we need to replenish our vision, we need to spend some of the gold that we've picked up. But they were doing a really good job there of just keeping this pressure onto Rogue and saying, listen, if you leave us for a second, we're going to start this Baron. We have, well, Jhin isn't the fastest Baron taker, but when you do pair it up with, an Azir and the potential TP from the Gwen, it's something that's very threatening, especially when Szygenda doesn't have that TP to match as well. But now they've gone back to base, they've spent some of their gold, and now look at these second items beginning to come through. The Void Staff now finished for Nisqy. I'm going to see if I remember this. The Voltaic Cyclo Sword completed for Exakick, along with the Shojin now finished for Isma as well. So these 2 item spikes are going to give a lot of confidence to SK, but be mindful that all of these have also come through for Rogue. So both teams, the next big team fight is going to determine a lot. It's going to balloon one team in favor of the other. It's going to either potentially help close that goal gap for Rogue, or it's going to snowball things in favor of SK.
I think it's very dependent on whether the poke comes down before the fight begins. If the fight has erupted before Comp has managed to get too much poke down alongside Larssen, I think the fight should go in SK's favor. Irrelevant, especially in these longer engages with the 10% Omnivamp you get from Riftmaker when it's fully stacked, is so difficult to kill. He's got himself a Seeker's Arm Guard now as well, which is the new stopwatch, builds into Zhonya's Hourglass, gives you a one-time Zhonya's effect. Zoelys here now stepping towards the Baron pit. It's territorial. It grabs Isma back and pulls him out. Irrelevant now joining the fray. TP in by Szygenda. Long-range vision yet for Rogue. Markoon will step in. 6,000 on the Baron. Zoelys stepping forward as well. They can't quite find an avenue in here, Rogue, as SK continue to chip away at the Baron. Lower and lower it goes. Zoelys rooted up with a captive audience, and DOS takes the kill. Temper just wide of Larssen, but Irrelevant's in the midst of 4 here. Tries to snip his way through, can't quite do it, but the Baron will be forfeit. Rogue got a kill, but SK got 1 and a Baron to boot.
Ends up being for one as you highlighted, Medic, but SK much happier with that trade. The Dragon spawns in 35 seconds, so resets are going to come through. While Zoelys will respawn much quicker, the TP is available for Irrelevant, and he should be present for this Dragon spawn. We look back at this play, SK just forced the objective, forcing Rogue into this fight. The poke isn't connecting from Comp, and then they find a really good punish. Irrelevant on the sideline, just acting as this threat. Rogue for a second become disconnected, and in that window SK choose to engage. Really good teamfight choice from SK overall. The fact that the second Rogue begin to disengage is when SK find that opportunity, and they're able to convert it into a Baron. Now the TP comes through from Irrelevant. The next Dragon is likely going to be uncontested, and SK can begin their siege onto Rogue's base.
Yeah, not really much you can do here as Rogue. You need another item on Comp, perhaps another item on Larssen, who's only sitting on 2 right now, Archangels and the Banshees. It's going to be interesting to see how they manage to navigate the next fights, because SK seem to have their number. Wait for someone to overstep, open the curtains, lock that one person down. Irrelevant runs into the back line and just sweeps everyone else away. If the Baron hadn't been there, I'm sure SK would have been following up, and that would have been probably a 4-for-1 in favor of SK. Now they're pushing through this bot side. Exakick here to join the team. Irrelevant getting the wave in mid. It looks like Comp's going to answer there. Markoon and Zoelys looking for something, but SK have overloaded this bot side. 4 players here. Larssen still in the top lane, and Rogue will realize they can't really take this battle. Larssen TPs to the tower, just trying to defend it. Isma is pulled back, but with Spear and Titanic pretty tanky right now. Spear changed slightly. When you hit a spell, you grant stacks, and then you do increase damage for each stack with your spells. But still does give you that non-ultimate ability haste. DOS locked up for a second, pulled back with the Infernal Chains, rooted, puts a magical journey down, and should be able to go through it. Just gets through before Markoon lands that Sonic Wave. Tower in the bot lane will now fall as Nisqy chips away at it, and SK in a very strong position here, Vedi. 6,000 gold in the lead.
30 seconds left on the Baron, so they're going to choose to disengage. Spend some of their hard-earned gold. But an impressive performance overall from SK, and huge credit to Isma. Already looking like a veteran with this level of performance. Game 1 immediately starts working with both Nisqy and DOS to find a lot of great plays in the mid lane. He's been involved in 8 of the team's 9 overall kills. And he's just had a massive impact overall. He needed to be the initiation, and rather than hesitating, he just went right in around that bot lane Dragon fight. That's the level of confidence that you like to see from these young rookies. Of course, we did mention that he was formerly a part of Movistar Riders. Second place in EMEA Masters last year's summer. And a promising young rookie.
Yeah, and
actually taking the place of Markoon.
He was, who was also a promising young rookie.
Well, a while ago.
Yeah, when he was a rookie.
I mean, yes, technically. But yeah, it seems that SK definitely happy with how this acquisition has gone so far. Still very early on in the splits, but SK, we talked about them, a team that has always demonstrated great potential last year. Never quite able to live up to it, though. Isma finds another pick.
Zoelys relatively tanky because of that Celestial opposition. Extra 2 seconds of tankiness there. Still loses half his health, though, as it fell off. Larssen has himself a needlessly large rod to go alongside his Banshees and Archangels, but still not quite at that 3 items. We haven't really seen the team fight from Rogue. We haven't seen the quickness into Shockwave, into Kick, into Chain of Corruption, the power of zone control that they possess in these fights. And a lot of that has been because Irrelevant just runs through the backline. It's like, well, we all have to try and disengage this Gwen, who now has a stopwatch, or a Zhonya's, to give her that little bit extra bit of protection. And even if we do that, we then have to worry about Isma. And even if we do that, we then have to worry about Temper Fate and Curtain Call and a shuffle perhaps from Nisqy. There's so much disruption on the side of SK that Rogue's ability to play a more measured, a slower team fight is very difficult. We might see a fight begin here. Zoelys goes into Isma. Curtain's open once again. Szygenda's forced back. They block the 3rd and 4th shot, but might just be the tower for SK. Markoon going in once again for the engage. Sonic Wave connected, and his heart was telling him yes. In the end, much ado about nothing in the top lane. Rogue able to defend their tier 2, but SK still looking for more as they steal away the jungle camps, and gold becomes a very precarious resource for Rogue. Where are you finding it? You've got 3 waves pushing in, sure, but you're not taking towers and you're not getting much of your own jungle.
I mean, SK are just controlling the top side with the expectation of the Baron being the next major objective, right? Like, it's slow and measured, calculated. Oh, Nisqy's back going to be interrupted, but he's just going to be annoyed about that, more so than it's actually going to do any real damage. This may mess up his timers, because ideally he wants to get the death cap just before the Baron spawns. Zoelys is now going to find a window where they can get that vision back. You can see all these wards now being dropped, but the problem is he has to expend these wards to just get information. Then when SK come back out onto the map, they'll be replenished, ready to go.
Immediate W away there as you saw Irrelevant coming around the corner.
Zhonya's completed as well for Irrelevant. And here we go.
This freaked me out the first time I saw it. Because it comes all the way from Bot River. So I was running along, there was a Vex in the game, and I saw this big V-shaped monster coming at me. I was like, is Vex holding me? Absolutely scared the living lights out of me, buddy.
You scare easily.
Yeah, I don't watch horror movies. I don't.
Wait, SK? Oh, okay. They're going to go for the Dragon as a priority instead. There's a window here for Rogue to try and cross-map with the Baron, but it is a tight one, that's for sure. And it is a big gamble. They don't have the fastest Baron take themselves, so they're not going to do it. Instead, they're going to use this window to try and maintain some of the vision control that they have been able to get for themselves. Potentially look for a pick. SK going to take the safe route around. Here we go. DOS finds a stun.
Markoon and Zoelys are going to be the scouts here. You put them out first because they have the ability to escape. Zoelys can jump across the wall. Markoon has the safeguard. It also has to disengage with the kick, and they'll step forward. Comp can look for poke, but can't get close enough to really put any down. Vision cleared out. Zoelys going to ward in this bush as well. Irrelevant and Szygenda still down in the bottom lane. Both TPs available for them. And Zoelys find the engage. You have to feel Larssen now stepping up, feels he's strong. Rabadon's complete on him. 3 items Orianna. We've seen Shockwaves turn a game like this before. Isma dives in. The TP behind as Irrelevant joins. Szygenda going in. Zoelys trying to get on towards that front line. Nisqy there. But Exakick kills off Markoon. Szygenda on the back line now as Irrelevant tries to just chip him away. Irrelevant low, but it's SK's day. They start to sweep up the fight. Everyone surviving for them. Szygenda not stunned by that Cosmic Binding, but SK get 2. They get the mid-jungle duo. And now they can just back away. Szygenda's going to try and gain some tempo for his team as DOS flashes and misses the Q. Maybe they can keep him around. Maybe they can keep them low enough because Comp's still alive and his ultimate's up in 8. Now 5.
I don't think
will it be enough for them to survive? The tower in the mid lane falls. Comp backing away, and it will be Baron over to SK.
I mean, well played once again from SK. A bit of a messy fight, but they make it work. Nisqy, I thought, was dead for sure. A nice kick from Markoon just results in his death. And then the shielding that comes out onto Nisqy just absolutely clutch. SK walk away with another Baron. Look at how they've ballooned this gold lead now to 9k.
And it's methodical as well. They're not taking fights they don't need to take.
Well,
they understand how they're going to play around fights.
because Isma's going to act as the engage once again. Kind of goes isolated though and takes a lot of damage. The ultimate being used early. Zoelys a bit disconnected from his team when he engages, but Markoon does what he can to follow. Look at the shielding here, the locket plus I believe the Guardian actually comes through to protect Nisqy, allowing him to reset. Irrelevant goes onto the backline to do as much damage as possible, uses the Zhonyas to buy time for the rest of his team to collapse. And DOS doing huge work with this Bard. The whole team working incredibly well together, and Exakick just being the executioner as he continues to find kills.
Temper Fate just wide, as SK now pushing with the Baron buff. 2 minutes remain on it, yet to break an inhibitor tower, but with a relevant pushing mid you have to feel. One will be short to fall. Isma going forward once again onto Szygenda, the lockdown, but Szygenda just getting clipped away at Markoon, kicks away Irrelevant. Well, that's a big, well, 2 big ultimates used just to disengage. The wave's still going to start crashing in. Unrelenting here from SK. Irrelevant chipping away at that mid lane tower. He's doing more than chipping, Betty.
He's melting.
That's a whole chip butty for him as Isma goes in. The tower falls. They're looking for more as Nisqy slides forward. Larssen already falling. Markoon short to follow. Zoelys now at the edge of the blades of Irrelevant, and he is not long for the rift. Comp will fall, and SK, all it took was a Baron for them to work their way into the base and demolish it. SK with their first win of Winter.
An impressive performance overall, and overall a huge team effort as well. Loved what we saw from the mid-jungle support trio in the early game, the way in which they attacked the mid lane. Rogue around the mid game though started to come back. They did a good job of finding those windows, but it was SK with the better team fights that closed it out in the end.
Your key player of the game votes at LEC on X are Irrelevant, Isma, and DOS. I'd give it, I mean, DOS had a really good performance.
I think it would be DOS or Isma, yeah.
I think I'd give it to Isma. Irrelevant did what he needed to do, and he did it very well. As you say, it was a team performance. Difficult to judge exactly who deserves it, but DOS and Isma definitely up in terms of contention. We're going to be right back after a short break. Don't you go anywhere.